म रूपनारायण श्रेष्ठ सर्वोच्च अदालत बार एसोसिएसन कार्य समितिको सदस्य यहाँ सबैलाई यस कार्यक्रममा नमस्कार गर्न चाहन्छु, स्वागत गर्न चाहन्छु। आजको यो हाम्रो खास कार्यक्रम भनेको चाहिँ आजको यो कार्यक्रम हामीले चाहिँ खास गरी हाम्रो छिमेकी राष्ट्र भारतबाट आउनुभएका जाने व्यवसायी आलोक कुमारज्यूको हामीले चाहिँ किनोट प्रस्तुतिको लागि चाहिँ र त्यसमा चाहिँ हामी छलफलको लागि भनेर आयोजना गरेका छौँ र उहाँको यो कार्यक्रम चाहिँ हाम्रो लिगल प्रोफेसनल इन इन्डिया, इट्स नेचर, साइज एन्ड कन्ट्रिब्युसन टु द रुल अफ ल एन्ड द कन्स्टिट्युसनलिजम भन्ने विषय रहेको छ। यस कार्यक्रमका हाम्रा मुख्य अतिथि अहिले आइसक्नु भएको छ। म मुख्य अतिथिको रूपमा चाहिँ सर्वोच्च अदालतका माननीय न्यायाधीश हरिप्रसाद फुयानज्यूलाई चाहिँ आसन ग्रहणको लागि आग्रह गर्छु। त्यस्तै कार्यक्रमको अध्यक्षताको लागि मैले ज्योति बानियाज्यूलाई चाहिँ आग्रह गर्छु। उहाँ हाम्रो सर्वोच्च अदालत एसोसिएसन उपभोक्ता समिति कानुन समितिका सदस्य हुनुहुन्छ। त्यस्तै मैले यहाँ चाहिँ हाम्रा विशेष अतिथि इन्डियाबाट आउनुभएका मिस्टर आलोक कुमार, एडभोकेट अफ सुप्रिम कोर्ट फ्रम इन्डिया। त्यस्तै म अगाडि डायसमा आसनको लागि चाहिँ अलि वरिष्ठ अधिवक्ता पूर्णमान साके सरलाई आग्रह गर्न चाहन्छु। त्यस्तै वरिष्ठ अधिवक्ता गान्धी मन्दिर सरलाई पनि आग्रह गर्न चाहन्छु। त्यस्तै वरिष्ठ अधिवक्ता हरिप्रसाद सरलाई पनि अगाडि आसन ग्रहणको लागि आग्रह गर्छु। त्यस्तै अधिवक्ता नवीन कुमार वर्मा सरलाई पनि आग्रह गर्न चाहन्छु। त्यस्तै वरिष्ठ अधिवक्ता मैले देखिरहेको छु लव दाई हुनुहुन्छ, रवि सर पनि हुनुहुन्छ, उहाँलाई यथास्थानमा आसनको लागि आग्रह गर्न चाहन्छु। त्यसबाहेक यहाँ हाम्रा सर्वोच्च बार एसोसिएसनका उपाध्यक्ष हुनुहुन्छ जगदीश चन्द्र पाण्डे सरलाई पनि यथास्थानमा आसनको लागि आग्रह गर्छु। त्यस्तै हाम्रा सचिवजी हुनुहुन्छ श्याम कुमार खत्री, उहाँलाई पनि यथास्थानमा आसनको लागि आग्रह गर्न चाहन्छु। हाम्रा कोषाध्यक्ष कपिल चन्द्र पोखरेलज्यू आउँदै हुनुहुन्छ होला। त्यसबाहेक अरू यहाँ जस्तो हामी कहाँ चाहिँ नेपाल बार एसोसिएसनका अध्यक्ष गोपाल कृष्ण घिमिरे सर आइपुग्नु भएको छैन, अन्जिता म्याडम पनि आइपुग्नु भएको रहेछ। उहाँलाई यथास्थानमा पछिको लागि आग्रह गर्न चाहन्छु। पछि चाहिँ अब हामी यो कार्यक्रमलाई चाहिँ अगाडि सिधै यो किनभने अनौपचारिक धेरै फर्मल नगरिकन सिधै हाम्रो किनोट स्पिकको लागि भनेर फर्मल धेरै नगरिकन हामी चाहिँ छोटो रूपमा चाहिँ सुन्न चाहन्छौँ र खास गरिकन हाम्रो जुन अतिथि हुनुहुन्छ एडभोकेट आलोक कुमारजी पनि प्रस्तुति हामी चाहिँ राख्न चाहन्छौँ। त्योभन्दा अगाडि चाहिँ म चाहिँ यस कार्यक्रमको विषयमा छोटो प्रकाश पारिदिन र आफ्नो स्वागत मन्तव्य समेत राखिदिनु म चाहिँ वरिष्ठ अधिवक्ता गान्धी मन्दिर सरलाई चाहिँ आग्रह गर्न चाहन्छु।
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank the chairperson of this program, Jyoti Baniaji, and the chief guest of this program, our Honorable Supreme Court Justice Hari Fayazji, and today's guest of honor, who has come from India, Mr. Alok, Advocate Alok Kumarji, and other distinguished member of bar here in Dias and other things. And especially I'd like to thank our Shyamji, our Secretary General, for requesting me to come to speak on this. And after that, Jyoti had asked to say something, opening speech on the issue of legal profession in India, its nature, size and contribution. The program that Alok Kumar is going to give some deliberation speeches. For I was asked to give some opening speeches. That's why. First of all, I'd like to welcome Alokji to Nepal. The reason for we are very happy to see you here is not only that you are a lawyer from India, we also have a social, historical and political relationship with India. That's why due to that relationship, our legal system is also directly influenced by, to some extent, by Indian legal system. Though legal system of India is also followed by UK, and we have also followed common law system. In that respect, we are very common and very similar. At the same time, when you are talking about constitutionalism, our constitutional bench, Supreme Court has rendered various judgments on fundamental issues, land issues, and other political issues. And while delivering that kind of issues, we also relied on some other landmark decision rendered by Supreme Court of India. That's why that's some kind of close relationship we have. On top of that, there are two other relations I have to tell. One is that he's also from Delhi, and I did my Delhi, from Delhi University, I did my master's degree from 1981 to 84. Another closest relationship that he has is that he is also law graduate. He did LLM from Cardiff Law School, and luckily, one of our judges, Alok is also a graduate from Cardiff Law School. And on top of that, both of my sons, Shikhar and Abbas, is also Cardiff Law graduate. They did solicitor course in UK, and they are back in Kathmandu. The way you have come after practicing law in UK for 12 years, and you have come back, right? In that way, we want, that's good that this not only that we are having a program and you are delivering some speeches or we are listening. More than that, this program is about maintaining a relationship between Indian lawyer and Nepali lawyer. For that, I want to have Jyotiji inviting him, bringing him here to talk to us. And I also heard that similarly, you can also have some kind of relation with the Indian Supreme Court bar association that they invite our parents there, and they can share our experience. But today's meeting is something more than sharing the experience. On top of that, I want to, other thing, whatever you are going to talk about constitutionality on the law, rule of law, one thing that I also want to, the efficacy and the kind of clothes we wear, what kind of regulation you have in there, because Nepal we have recently you have introduced your new law that all the lawyers have to wear black coat, black shoe, and black tie. That is something, what is some grounded might have been there. You can also talk on that. On top of that, I also want to tell you something about this new generation we have, who are very emerging in Nepal. What is the law practice, how they should go, how they can contribute to the rule of law in Nepal and other countries, a lawyer, and what is their motto should be. And how the bar association should act, mobilizing this young generation. That's one of the challenges we have. And lately there are some increase of political parties and political groups in the bar association. That's very challenging issue because we are the champion of rule of law. When we are talking about rule of law, we are also always standing between judiciary and the bureaucratic hurdles and challenges and decisions they make it, and we will fight for the personal liberty and rule of law and the integrity of judicial independence. That's appointed of judges. That was some of the major issues that we want to hear from you. And India has really achieved a very fundamental role in selecting the judge and maintaining their independence. And Indian judiciary has established themselves one of the top leading legal setting the path of the legal in the world. Also, we also want to hear from that. But having said so, we have a very limited time. There are many other people to give their some views. I don't want to take much time, but we want to warmly welcome you in Kathmandu and into our bar association premises. And I hope that this meeting is going to be very fruitful in future, and we might be to help maintain a relationship with Supreme Court Bar Association with Nepal Bar Association, Nepal Bar and Supreme Court Bar Association. Thank you very much. Happy to
धन्यवाद गान्धी सर। अब हामी चाहिँ यो कार्यक्रमको मुख्य विषयवस्तुमै प्रवेश गर्न लागिरहेका छौँ। Now we are entering into the subject matter of today, that is like sharing experience from the Advocate Alok Kumar regarding the law practice of India, legal professions, maybe from bar and bench correlations, also the dynamics of the law profession in India, because India has entering a very variety of the subject matters as like other subjects, like also in the legal field also. So therefore, I would like to call upon Advocate Alok Kumar sir to sharing his experiences and the legal professions in India, particularly its natures and contribution to the constitutionalism issue. So, Advocate.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me. I'll start with thanking Honorable Justice Harikura, Mr. Banya, the Chairman of the Bar Council, our association, and distinguished members of this bar. It's a pleasure to address you all. When I was given this topic, I thought within myself that is it a good topic for a summer vacation or a winter vacation? Because to cover this topic, you need to have a 3 to 5 lectures, and it's a very wide subject. But I've taken a liberty to start with just 4 to 5 issues to start with. I'll just touch base on that. After that, I'm more than happy to have an interaction. To start with what Leonard had said about the profession and the dresses. Yes, we have had a long relationship between India and Nepal. Many of you have studied in Delhi city or various universities in India, have seen and been to Bar Council or the Supreme Court, the High Court. So we still follow the British pattern of gown, band, coat, black coat, except for the wig. We have the similar process. Obviously, there are 2 types of gowns, one for the senior advocates, for designated, and the other one for the advocates in general. Now, when I start with this profession, I was told about, what's the size. So I'm not going to that because you can get it on a Google. With a country of now 150 billion, we only have 1.3 million lawyers. So which is about 13 lakh lawyers. 60 to 70,000 graduates join the profession. Even assuming 50% are active practitioners, we are the largest bar in the world now. We hold the American bar. That's the general I would like to start with. After that, I would like to just talk about some experience about my initial days of practice, where I learned from my seniors, which is very important because that was an eye-opener. I was telling the professor here that every advocate is a teacher to his juniors, and you continue to be a teacher throughout your life. I'll just give a short story about Mr. Ramjet Malani, who was the leading or one of the best senior advocates in India. I was his junior, and there was a case in Delhi High Court, Indian Space Research Organization versus Raspro, which is a Russian satellite manufacturing company, and about 8 defendants were there. We have a section 27 of the Indian Contract Act about unjust enrichment. I just googled because you are more knowledgeable than me. It's very similar to your chapter 16, section 664 to 671, unjust enrichment. So my senior said, Alok, take out the judgments of Supreme Court on unjust enrichment. So as a young lawyer, I was taking out the judgment. Sir, this is a judgment where the court held that there is no unjust enrichment. And second judgment, he said, no, Alok, I want judgments which Supreme Court decided there is unjust enrichment. I was confused because we are for the defendant, we have to prove and argue that there is no unjust enrichment. And he's asking me to take out all the judgment where the Supreme Court had held that there is an unjust enrichment. Fair enough, I was also confused why he's asking me. Anyway, the matter was being argued. Solicitor General of India was for the plaintiff, ISRO. And Mr. Jaitlani stood up and started arguing and citing judgments. Within 5 minutes, Solicitor General was very confused. He was saying, why is he quoting and relying on judgments which I want to rely? These are judgments in my favor. After 5 minutes, 10 minutes, the judge also got irritated. Yes, Mr. Mulani, we know what is unjust enrichment. We understand. What is your point? So then he was very eloquent and flamboyant sort of. Oh yes, Your Lordship. Now that you have understood what is unjust enrichment, I am not a necessary party. What do you mean by that? Then, like a school teacher, he started seeing, obviously, by the time he became senior, a lot of judges were his junior or used to brief him. He went to the Indian Contract Act. Lordship, A gives money to B to perform certain duties. B does not perform that duty, so B has unjustly enriched himself. Yes, I know. So, Your Lordship, see the example given in the Indian Contract Act. A gives money to B, the painter, to do a painting. B doesn't do the painting, so he has unjustly defied himself. He's enriched himself. Say, yes, but Your Lordship, I am not the painter. Who are you? I am defendant number 6. I supply brush. There is no unjust enrichment on my part. If I have not supplied the brush, then defendant number 1 will sue me. How can ISRO sue me in Indian courts? I am a company in Russia. And the judge, solicitor, and everybody was flabbergasted. They said, oh my God, okay, yes, sir. What he taught me is that whenever as a lawyer, you get a brief, you start reading, okay, this is my case, this is my facts. He said, Alok, pause, read, close the file, and 10 minutes think as if you are opposite lawyer. You take out some judgments, take out case law, because if you don't prepare that way, and suddenly the opposite lawyer cites a judgment of Supreme Court, you have not read it, you are not prepared, you can't respond immediately. But if you have read that judgment, you can say, Lordship, that judgment is not applicable, it can be distinguished on facts, etc., etc. So one of the things which I have been following is that prepare for opposite lawyer also for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, because then you are well versed with the counter argument which will come. Otherwise you will be taken by surprise. And ultimately you have to argue and think by standing on your legs. Having said that about the preparation, I was discussing with some other lawyers, etc., that drafting is a very, very important aspect. We used to think, when I graduated from National Law School, that we are very good in English. I went to London. Then I realized, oh, British English is very different than Indian English. When I made my first draft, my senior read 10 mistakes in one page. I was thinking, how stupid I am. I have to learn, to see. Now, drafting is so important that one of my seniors used to say it should be like a beautiful painting. When I have to draft for a matter in Supreme Court of India, for example, challenging the High Court judgment. A lot of judges of Supreme Court, my friends and seniors, had said that, Alok, judges will not read 400 pages. Remember one thing. Number 2, a judge of a Supreme Court was also Chief Justice of a High Court. And he was judge for the last 20 years. So he would have given 20 judgments, 100 judgments on Arbitration Act, on Land Acquisition Act, or bail matter. So what he will read is read the High Court judgment. And only 2 answers he will have. So what? It's a nice judgment. Why should I interfere? Dismiss the petition. That's where your synopsis, the first page, where you straight away hit the bullseye, like Arjuna, hitting the bull. First paragraph they used to teach us that the Honorable High Court has erred in 1, 2, 3, 4 ABC. And then the judge will start reading third paragraph, 4th paragraph, 5th paragraph, and it should excite him, because after all he is reading 60 files at his home in the evening, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. If he doesn't find it interesting, your first draft, first page, second page, he'll say, okay, I'll see you tomorrow. No, let the lawyer argue. So preparation and drafting is very important. Also, as I was discussing with Naveen, he said the lawyers who are preparing agreements and documents, he very nicely said, we practice law to prevent litigation. So the drafting of agreements and contracts are so important, which in my office we have obviously litigation and non-litigation. I make sure that the litigation lawyers also do little bit of drafting, whether it is a working capital consortium agreement for the bank or any agreement or shareholders agreement. Because I thought and I realized is that if I know how to draft an agreement, the same agreement will be interpreted and argued at the court of law. So if I'm a litigation lawyer, I should know what type of questions the judges ask. What are they expecting in the agreement? If the agreement is precise, to the point, judges will not ask anything, or they will understand very clearly. And vice versa, because if I am drafting an agreement and I use very Oxford English, long paragraphs, all those things, and when there is a dispute, then the Supreme Court will say, what does clause 2.3 means in this agreement? Your Lordship, please read 2.1 to understand 2.3 clause. And then you are unnecessarily confusing the judge. There is no clarity. So drafting was the second thing which I was always insisted with my young friends and lawyers to focus on it. The third one is about the technology. Now what we are doing in India is that we have National Informatics Center, which is obviously a government of India. But the use of technology in litigation has been driven thankfully by the Supreme Court of India, by the Chief Justice of India, and he has been insisting and asking government to spend funds for e-courts and e-filing and and digitization of the court system. You'll be surprised, and in fact I had offered to Justice Kumar also when he was in Delhi, and the President, that we should have at least an exchange program of 5 to 10 lawyers who can come. I welcome them. In fact, we have created a trust also where we give them some financial assistance as well if they come for a month or something. You can imagine that we are sitting in the 5 judges constitution bench on Article 370 of Constitution of India, which dealt with Kashmir, abrogation of Article 370. There were 22,000 pages of documents. Volume 1 to volume 21. Arguments for different petitioners, reply, rejoinder, case laws, judgment citation, Constitutional Assembly debates, when it was in 45, what happened, 47, what happened, why 370 was written. But I tell you, there was not a single paper in the judge's desk, there was not a single paper with the arguing lawyers. It was all liquid text, it was all iPad or laptop, and the judge was saying, well, say for example, you are arguing, where is your written submission? Lordship, kindly go to volume 14, page 388 to 422. Okay, just tell me. That was the beauty of technology. We learned all these things during the COVID time. Obviously, this digitization and e-court was started in 2005, phase-wise, but as you know, we call in India that when you are in trouble, then only you do something. It's like as a law school student, tomorrow exams, we will study tonight. So, because of COVID, first 15 days we were clueless. What happened? You can't even go out of the house. But like police, like hospital, court system has to work. And then things like, okay, download this app, Zoom, we'll have this video call. And we were just learning. Like for example, my clerk will do a filing. It was all e-filing. Objection from the High Court or Supreme Court. Your petition is not as per OCR. Now, I was also thinking, what is OCR? So go to Google. OCR, we have to convert the text file into optical file so that it can be readable by the judges. Okay, so learn this. Bit by bit, bit by bit, bit by bit. Now today, all the courts are having virtual hearing. There has been opposition, I must tell you. Like for example, if I am a Supreme Court, exclusively Supreme Court of India practitioner, I will be engaged by a lawyer from High Court of Karnataka, another state. Well, good enough. But now with virtual court, a lawyer sitting in Bangalore is appearing in Supreme Court. Or a Supreme Court lawyer is appearing before Bombay High Court. And during COVID time, I know when those advocates were very busy, had 6-7 matters, two in Supreme Court, one in Bombay High Court. If you see the photograph, it looks as if they are stockbrokers. They will have 6 laptops. Log into Supreme Court, log into Bombay High Court, log into this thing, appear, argue, and all this stuff. Even e-filing was so easy and mandatory that now my office has 20% of the papers which I had in 2019. And that too only because I want to keep a hard copy retained for certain things. So digitalization is very important. Lawyers have to embrace that. It's actually a two-way process. All the stakeholders, government has to recognize, the judiciary has to support and insist, and lawyers have to also invite that it helps, it aids efficiency and all those things. We have seen in even in the argument, when we have to turn the pages, earlier if you remember we put flags on annexure. Now we don't have to do all those things. The technology is very, very important. In fact, they say because of technology, it has created an inclusion and access of justice. Now the clients are also logging in and seeing what is being argued. I mean, Delhi, obviously India is a big country, but I have a matter say from one of the state, 1,000 kilometers away. The client is not coming. He just logs in, sees what has been argued, what has been said, and he's satisfied. He feels that he's part of the judicial system. And similarly, the lawyers are also very happy. Judges find it efficiency. Now, coming back to this rule of law, I was thinking, rule of law is a very, very wide subject. What should I talk about it and role of a lawyer? So I just pulled up one judgment. If you see you have lawyers who are paying for corporates, where well and good they have to be represented. But just imagine the section of the society which requires legal assistance and they cannot afford it, or they find it difficult to access the justice system. One of the recent examples was street hawkers in Delhi. They have a fundamental right to livelihood. They need to be protected. Obviously, there are two schools of thought. You don't want shops and hawkers on the street, but at the same time, how do you regulate it? Now, this is one judgment which the Delhi High Court, in a Meena Bazaar Street Vendor and Hawkers Association versus Municipal Corporation of Delhi, laid down about 16 principles that what the municipal corporation has to do. And this was judge-driven, lawyer-argued, lawyer-suggested options. Like, for example, vendors shall not have any permanent or long-term vending certificate. Their certificate is for 1 year. Vending certificate is not transferable. Just to avoid that, okay, somebody buys 10 vending certificate and sells it to make money. It is mandatory for the vendor to follow the vending period and zone. So you can do from 6 to 8 in the morning or afternoon, and this is a zone demarcated, and so on and so forth. Now this is nothing but rule of law, ensuring access to justice to the street hawkers, judge-driven, lawyer-driven, and it was a brilliant thing which is appreciated by the judges and obviously by the clients, because all this was done by amicus curiae, an advocate who was appointed to suggest what should be done so that we do a balancing, that the roads are not blocked, but at the same time there is a livelihood and vendors are protected. So we had this case from long back in, I think, 88, Olga Tellis judgment of Supreme Court. Then we had a right of tribals, a right of street vendors, and so on and so forth. Recently, the Supreme Court was also dealing with the issue of right of minorities. And there were instances, but actually the lawyers made such a big impact, and thankful to the Supreme Court judges or even the High Court when the matter was there, they literally supported it. And there was a protection, because ultimately rule of law will only prevail if there is equality, justice, and the citizens feel that they have some place where they can be heard and protected. And that's why they say that judiciary is the third limb of the democracy, and lawyers obviously are two facets of the same judicial system, the bar and the bench working together. That's what I thought I will cover it for time being. I'm more than happy to address any questions, because I don't want a monologue, just dialogue from one side. Because I believe whenever I give a lecture, if it's 1 hour, I say I will speak only for 10 minutes, but I will interact and answer questions for 50 minutes. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. This is Parsuram Koirala. I was referring to your conversation regarding the exchange of lawyers program there with Delhi Supreme Court or Supreme Court Bar associated with Honorable Judge himself, along with Chief Justice of Nepal, visited and even graced the hearing there too.
Yes, it was a pleasure
So,
to have.
we are just reading the news, which is very good for all of us. If we can have that sort of exchange of lawyers, which will enhance our day-to-day professional lives and knowledge together. Do you have any time frame or timelines for that back home?
See,
Why would like to have those kind of association with Nepalese lawyers over here in Nepal?
yeah, in fact, I must thank Justice Haripura because he was instrumental in sowing this seed. He had pushed, and it was so fortunate, maybe we are in the right time, that the Attorney General for India, who was my senior and a good friend, was also a good friend of Justice Puya. He was a visiting faculty in National Law School, and in the office of Attorney General with Solicitor General Tushar Mehta, Justice Haripura, among the bar and in judicial side with the Chief Justice of India, it was discussed that we should have in the first quarter of 2024 a robust exchange program.
Good.
Now there are two facets of it. One is judicial exchange program, where whether it's a registrar or at whatever level the administrative side, the Supreme Court decides. But on the legal profession side,
The bar side.
there are two aspects. One is, I mentioned, in fact, we were having a discussion before, 16th December was the last working day.
Okay.
Justice Nariman, who retired as Supreme Court Judge, son of Justice Farias Nariman,
Yeah.
Farias Nariman, he, along with a couple of friends of ours, he has created a trust where
On his own?
Yes, on his own. Obviously, Bar has also contributed.
We need to contribute, yeah.
Bar has also contributed already. Like Mr. Venugopal, he gave a check of 25 lakh, and many seniors came.
That's out of lawyer generosity, right?
Lawyers generosity.
Not institutionally.
No, it's
or
a lawyer.
could be institutional also.
As of now,
in the member
because,
of the bar.
see, when you get voluntary contribution of 5 crore, you are independent. Right. If the law ministry gives you 50 lakh, there will be a lot of strings attached. You can do this, you cannot do that, and things like that. So when we just started a year back. So we thought about two programs. One is for young lawyers in India, from India, coming from small towns who want to practice in Supreme Court. But because of their financial status or whatever, so what we do is we give them 30,000 rupees every month, so that at least they can survive in Delhi for 2 years. The second one was when we discussed that why don't we incorporate young lawyers from Nepal. Obviously they will be coming for 1 month or 2 months or whatever. That also we have put it on the agenda. So that is one aspect. The second aspect is an institute called Menon Institute of Legal Advocacy and Training, Miller, which Dr. Just everyone knows. Dr. Menon was our teacher also. In his honor, we have set up Mr. Corpus Fund already.
I met him in Mumbai University also.
Okay. So this is an exchange program which we thought that we can incorporate it, because that is already successfully running. They have about 12 programs at least in a year. We have it in, say, Lawyers Law College or some National Law School Law College, where even Mr. Venkat Ramani, the Attorney General, he goes for 1 day, then another senior advocate goes for 1 day. So it's a 15 days. Yes, they live in the premises, the campus, 15 days, 30 days. they go to court, visit the courts, and come back. So there are 2 weeks, as of now, which we have decided, because this was discussed only about a month back when Justice Puyal visited Delhi. So it's work in progress, but I know it's not a difficult thing. In fact, a lot of lawyers, we get requests for internships.
Specifically, Mr. Alok, why I was referring to this side of the thing, specifically, Mr. Puyal, the justice, our own justice is here, immediate past president of Supreme Court Bar Association is here, Secretary General right now, Nepal Bar President is here, and our Right Honorable Chief Justice would be there to visit or allow the time. This time you can do it, we can in our own little way, can boost up that kind of trust over here in Supreme Court or anywhere trust, so that it can be right away take flight, you know.
It will, because as Justice
if
Puyal,
possible this time also, Jyotiji, please look into that also, because this is your precious time over here, and this, if this clicked on, would be very better for both the countries, young lawyers, including all of us.
Yes, in fact, Justice Puyal was there when Attorney General and Solicitor General, they all said that, you know, we have to do it, it's right time, and we should do it in the first quarter, because everybody was busy, because after 16th the courts are closed. So all the lawyers will be back on 2nd of January. But it has been assured to Justice Puyal by none other than Attorney General and Solicitor General that, and so far as the bar is concerned, SCBA will definitely go for that.
Navin sir,
Let me explain a couple of issues.
Yeah.
Probably the Chief Justice of India will be visiting Nepal soon.
Okay.
The work is in progress.
Okay.
So, and Mr. Alok is instrumental for that.
Very
He will
great.
be handing over the soft invitation is already gone. He will
Right.
be taking the hard invitation. Probably by the end of February or March, somewhere.
Because March we have a 1 week holiday. But I just want to make sure that doesn't clash with your holiday, because Holi is there, so 22nd, 23rd March to 30th March, Supreme Court is closed.
So this is one development, and we have introduced a memorandum of understanding with the Right Honorable Chief Justice in India.
You did that in India only,
In
right?
India.
Yeah.
So, and we also submitted it to the Ministry of Finance and Ministry of Foreign Affairs to Ministry of Law and Justice here in Kathmandu. So it is under consideration. It has to be approved by the cabinet.
Just to get assured that is two-way traffic, like for bench and bar too, right?
No. There are two MOUs. Let me explain.
Okay.
When Attorney General of India came, at that time we agreed, along with the representative of Indian Embassy and our Attorney General, to have a broader MOU where legal profession and other part of the criminal justice system like police, prosecution and justice system, 4 components will be involved. So that MOU is gone, and Ministry of Law and Justice tabled it to the Ministry of Foreign Ministry, and it has gone to the Ministry of Finance.
Okay.
And there are some financial implications. So it is pending in the Ministry of Finance.
And second MOU?
That is only with the Supreme Court, because we thought it is.
It's institution to institution. But as I was mentioning to you, Justice Puyal was suggesting that, you know, apart from institution, because nothing prevents a lawyer-to-lawyer interaction. We don't need any government approval. As long as there is
My
willingness.
humble request on behalf of all the legal fraternity in Nepal, just convey our message to your people back on that. Lawyers of Nepal wants to hands together with Indian Bar Association. Please convey that message positively.
In fact, Justice Puyal was taken around by SCBA, entire team. I was also there. Adesh Agrawal, President, was there. We all took him to all the libraries. We had a meeting at SCBA, and we assured Justice Puyal that SCBA will definitely do it.
Thank you.
One development.
Yeah.
7 staff of the Supreme Court are likely to visit, to be placed in different benches
Courts of India.
in the courts of Supreme Court of India. That is going to happen in the end of January.
Okay.
This is for 15 days. And the financial arrangement is made by our court itself. So, and second, that would be before the Chief Justice comes. So that is experimental, and probably when Chief Justice comes, there will be some other staff who will be sitting with our different, like IT and other things, and will be interacting with us. So there are some development, but the thing is that it is a cabinet issue, both in India and both in Nepal, cabinet process, in order to have MOU. So that MOU now is in the Ministry of Finance. So I'm just going to tell this much.
We have been witnessing so many addresses of Right Honorable Chief Justice of India. Okay, and please convey our second message to him personally that we all are eager to listen to him over here in this platform.
It obviously is protocol and Supreme Court of Nepal.
Really, we are a big fan of him. The way he's going and taking up the Indian judiciary to next level. We can have so many information like you have just shared regarding digitalization and everything.
Right.
Even the crux part of the audit should be translated in the local languages of the parties too. That is happening in India.
4 languages, 4 regional languages, it has been translated. And if you see even the writing of judgments, which has now become a practice, it's almost like a thesis. If you see, if somebody is familiar, I'm sure a lot of you, if you see the old SCC, so they have placitum, A, B, C, ratio, and then long judgment. Now it is very crisp, as if you're reading a PhD thesis. Brilliant, good drafting. And I must also to suggest to end with this is that when Ms. Fyal mentioned about the 7 staff, please understand that the court masters, or for me at least and for our bar, is a very important connection between bar and the bench. When we argue the matter and the court master is there at 1 o'clock when the judges rise, any problem we have, we share with them, they convey to the judges. Or if the judges have to convey certain things, that ask that lawyer to file index or case compilation.
Yes, breathing is good.
So that will also help, because if the staff at Supreme Court is trained, it will obviously, I will not say that indirectly, it will directly benefit the bar also.
It's very good to hear about your early practice and the thing that is going in the Indian bar and the Indian judiciary. Even I've been closely following the developments in the Indian judiciary, whether that be a judgment or recent judgments. And we in Nepal also, we have been arguing various matters in Supreme Court, and we have been taking those cases from India as our possessive source and authority, and we have been citing in that in our judgments too. And even I know some cases in which the Indian judiciary has been taking example of our court judgments, although that our judgments are usually authored in Nepali language. But still, Indian judiciary has been taking that. I think that was in Joseph sign, Navtej Singh Johar, I think. In the judgment of Navtej Singh Johar versus India. Union of
Section
India,
377.
377.
Yeah.
Indian Supreme Court cited our judgments, and that so we are so proud that Indian judiciary even took our insights, right? And I feel happy even going through that judgment. But I have one query that I really need to ask you. In Nepal, we have advocates and senior advocates, but while I was following through live law in other bar and bench, while I was following those online media, I usually encounter that Supreme Court advocates on record. I have come through that, but I do not know what's the difference between senior advocate and Supreme Court advocates.
Okay, I'll just take 1 minute to say.
And the next thing, and in Nepal we have Attorney General, and over the time I have been hearing about Solicitor General. Even I do not know things about that. Even I searched that in Google, but I could not find the actual what is the difference between Solicitor General and Attorney General, whether he be appointed by the state or the center. So I would also like
I got
to
it. Just straight away, Advocates Act, like you have a Nepal Advocates Act and Indian Advocate Act 61, designates two type of lawyers are recognized: advocate and senior advocate. Senior advocates are designated by Supreme Court or High Court with a full bench collegium. Advocate on record is a concept which is only in Supreme Court, because Supreme Court is a court of record where it is hearing matters from all over India. Now, the Supreme Court had decided long back that there has to be an advocate on record who will be signing the wakalatnama, who will be held responsible for if anything goes wrong, and who will be available. Say, for example, if you see the geography of Kerala, of India, I am an advocate in Kerala, I sign my wakalatnama, filed in the Supreme Court. Now, Supreme Court is still looking for Alok Kumar, where is he? Oh, he's in Kerala, 3,000 kilometers away. Call him, receive him. But advocate on records are there in Delhi. In fact, the rules say you have to have an office within 1 square kilometer of Supreme Court. So that is what advocate on record it is. Coming to your Attorney General.
So they only will argue in the Supreme Court?
No. Any lawyer can argue, but advocate on record is the one who files wakalatnama.
They have an exam system.
So they have an exam which was held recently in December. Results were declared. On an average, every year, 150 people qualify and become AOR. It's a matter of a choice of an individual. I'm not an AOR because if I want to be arguing lawyer, I don't want to sign wakalatnama. So those who aspire to become advocate and senior advocate, they don't. But anyway, it's a personal choice. Now, coming back to your question of Attorney General for India, the Constitution, in fact, it's a misnomer a lot of times, even in India say Attorney General of India, Attorney General of India. It is actually Attorney General for India. And there's a difference in this because it's a constitutional post appointed by the President, obviously it's the Prime Minister. He is equivalent in protocol to the Judge of a Supreme Court. He is there to the pleasure of the government, and he is supposed to advise the President and the government, etc. Solicitor General is also a senior advocate. He also argues, but it's not a constitutional post. So therefore, Solicitor General of India and Attorney General for India. So that's the only difference. And then we have ASC, because if you see, I don't know in Nepal, but 50% litigations are by government, either for or against government. So they have a battery of Solicitor General. When I started practicing, there were 4 additional Solicitor General. Now we have 12 additional Solicitor General. Then we have additional Solicitor General in each high courts, because they are also Union of India as a party or something like that. So they are all for Union of India. And then you have in state Advocate General and additional Advocate General, etc., depending upon the litigations.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Alok, sir, for your presentations and deliberations, and also the very fruitful sharings, like how the relation with the seniors, and it's also related with the how to crafting the skill also, and as well as the new development, that is how to relate with the technology and a lawyer. So it's a very evidence-based and very fruitful for us also, as we are also tackling on every day this good practice. Now I would like to call upon our chairperson of the Nepal Bar, Senior Advocate Kumar for his short and sweet remarks on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Chairperson of the program, Mr. Jyoti Bania, I think he is the correct person. And Mr. Alok Kumar, Advocate Alok Kumar from India. And dignitaries. First of all, I'd like to welcome Mr. Kumar in Nepalese Bar, Nepal Bar Association, and you are most welcome for your very kind deliberation about this very important topic, legal corruption in India, its nature, size and contribution to the rule of law and the constitutionalism. It's a very important topic, and of course he already told us this is very limited time. This is not sufficient time to discuss about the matter because the subject is very vast. Though in very limited time, also he delivered his speech very nicely. It is very important for we Nepalese lawyers. And one very important thing in this moment I'd like to remember. In Law Asia Conference, which was held in India, Bangalore, India, in 24th to 27th November this year, we participated and we signed a MOU with Indian Bar Association.
Yes.
Nepal Bar Association signed a MOU with Indian Bar Association, and I, being on behalf of Nepal Bar Association and Mr. Kumar, the president of Indian Bar Association, we both signed a MOU, and we exchanged our view about the exchange program of the lawyers, an exchange program of the legal fraternities also, and at least in leadership level too, at least one exchange visit regarding at least one exchange visit in not 1 year, in our tenure, 3 years tenure, in my 3 years tenure, one presidential exchange visit, at least one. That means the leadership level. This is very important. Just I want to mention this thing with you, and we are welcoming you. What type of program we Nepalese lawyers and the Indian lawyers can do in future? It will be more significant for we both the countries' lawyers. That is why again and again I like to thank you for this very important deliberation, and I hope your stay in Nepal is very good year and pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Just to click on that, every Nepal and India chief of army also used to have a visit every their 10 years, in one in Nepal and one in also India. So it may be a good one, like having this kind of MOU the visiting at least in their 10 years. Now I would like to request Senior Advocate Kumar sir for his short remarks as well as a vote of thanks for this program. Thank you.
Friends, I would like to wrap up this program by a small vote of thanks. In fact, I would like to say that Jyoti Bania has been very kind enough to arrange the program of Mr. Alok. And his sharing of the views about the cooperation between Bar of India and Bar of Nepal is very relevant and very meaningful for us. But I would like to point out one thing is that, you see, when I was the president of the Supreme Court Bar, at that time the Indian Embassy did contact me. They were trying to contact me time and again, and they wanted to help us to introduce some kind of exchange program or to facilitate somebody from India coming to Nepal to share their expertise on various areas of law. But then because of sudden again, the coming in of the COVID problem and also our too much of engagement in judicial reform movement, I could not really carry forward that program. Though there was an offer from Indian Embassy to provide us financial assistance for introducing some kind of exchange program. So I am sure that if the Supreme Court Bar is interested, we can again, try to contact with the Indian Embassy and see if there is any way they can help us to, have some kind of exchange and sharing of the knowledge program. Mr. Alok is a very resourceful person for us. He can also work as a bridge between the lawyers of Nepal and lawyers of India. So his visit to Nepal is very important for us, and I would expect some kind of, as President of the Nepal Bar has told us, they have signed a memorandum of understanding with Indian Bar. So I expect the President of the Nepal Bar and also the President of the Supreme Court Bar can take the flags together. And Mr. Alok, you must be aware of the fact that Nepal has had a very close relation with India in all the matters related to rule of law and constitution building process. So in fact, our constitution has, we have gone for a federal constitution, but Indian constitution was actually, we draw a lot of inspiration from Indian constitution. And I remember myself being taught by Professor P.K. Tripathi, the federalism I took in LLM in Delhi. So, we the lawyers of Nepal have our own system of Nepal, but at time and again we have some kind of practice of referring Indian judgments and see if they can be sort of they could guide us for interpretation of the constitution and also making of the constitution. So we actually followed the model of India in introducing quasi-federalism in Nepal and a federalism with a strong center. You see, so and you will also be aware of the fact that most of the teachers, many teachers in Nepal, they got education in India, and many of our judges also have exposure to Indian universities, like Justice Frial is also having exposure to India, and our bar president is also having exposure to India, and myself also has had a lot of exposure in India. So we are a sovereign, independent, and different country from India, but we have very close relation with India, and our relationship goes beyond this government-to-government relationship. We interact with the people of India. At the people level, we have a very strong relation, and that is reflected in our closeness between the legal communities also. And I would definitely expect Alok will be a very important resource person for this kind of building up the relation between two bars, and it is definitely taking a positive direction. And I would like to thank Mr. Alok for coming all the way from India to share his views and ideas about rule of law, constitutionalism, and also legal profession. So thank you very much to all the legal fraternity for being here to listen to our guest, Alok. And once again, I would like to thank both Alok and our legal fraternity for being here for this program. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I would just like to invite Advocate Jyoti Bania sir for closing remarks as well as his remarks on this issue. हाम्रो तर चिया पनि छ है
नेपाल बारका अग्रजहरू र मिस्टर आलोक, यो पहिला त सर्वोच्च एसोसिएसन धन्यवाद छ यो राख्ने बित्तिकै उहाँहरूले यो अवसर दिनुभयो। त्यसपछि तपाईँहरू यति छोटो सूचनाको आधारमा पनि तपाईँहरू सबै आइदिनु भयो। यो हाम्रो समितिले गरेको पहिलो काम होइन, यो युनिसेफको टोली आएको थियो, ठ्याक्कै हामीले यसरी नै क्याप्चर यसरी नै भन्यौँ र उहाँले रिजल्ट वास्तवमा अहिले यो वर्षबाट यो लिगल फ्याटर्निटीलाई एसिस्ट गर्ने एउटा सानो कार्यक्रम यो 2024बाट उहाँले कार्यक्रम राख्नु भएको छ। म जहिले पनि यो प्रोडक्टको विश्वास गर्ने मान्छे योभन्दा पछाडि के हुन्छ भन्ने विषयमा अलिकति चिन्तित थिएँ। अब मिस्टर आलोक हाम्रो लागि आजबाट लिगल फ्याक्ट्रीको नेपाली लिगल फ्याक्ट्रीको लागि चाहिँ ब्रान्ड एम्बेसडरको रूपमा काम गर्नुहुन्छ। आई थिङ्क हि इज अल्सो विलिङ टु ब्रान्ड एम्बेसडर फ्रम नेप्लिज एडभोकेट्स फ्रम इन्डिया टु इन्डिया। अब हामीसँग नियमित सम्पर्क गर्नुहुन्छ, नेपाललाई साह्रै माया गर्ने मान्छे भित्र पर्नुहुन्छ। यस्तो खाले मान्छेहरूलाई हामीले क्रिएट गर्न सकेनौँ भने वास्तवमा हामीले विकास गर्न सक्दैनौँ। अब हामी जसरी भयो वास्तवमा धेरै अब म कुमारसँगै कुरा गर्छु, नेपालमा मात्रै होइन 3-4 ठाउँमा उहाँ लिटिगेसन गर्नुहुन्छ यो, तर हामीले त्यसरीमै साथीहरूलाई अगाडि लिएर जान सक्ने भनेको तरिका यो पनि हो। त्यस हुनाले मलाई जो अग्रजले जसरी समय दिनु आज अब पूर्व अध्यक्ष यही हुनुहुन्छ, त्यो वास्तवमा भावनाले आउनु भएको, केही गरौँ भन्ने भावनाले आउनु भएको साथीहरूले सामान्य सूचनाको भरमा आइदिनु भयो, यसको लागि धन्यवाद प्रकट गर्दै यो कार्यक्रम वास्तवमा यो अन्तिम हुने छैन, यदि हाम्रो समितिबाट अन्तिम हुने छैन, साथीहरू त्यही भन्नु भएको छ र हामी नियमित रूपले यसरी गर्नेछौँ। यसरी गराए बेला पनि साथीहरूले समय दिनुहुनेछ भन्ने आग्रह गर्दै आजको कार्यक्रम यही समापन भएको छ।